This is a super exciting video because we are taking you along on this drop. And the exciting thing about this drop is that I've never done it before. And I want to see today if I can do it today with you guys and with the help of two people. One is Berni behind the camera, and the second person is AI. So we want to see if ChatGPT can help me gain the commitment to do this drop. And maybe the skills, because maybe it's not a commitment issue. Maybe I don't have the skills. We'll find out. So are you ready? To give you some context, I'm going to show you what this drop is about. So first off, we're in the woods in La Nucia, where I live. And the drop, as you can see, is flat. The height is, about 1 meter something. And as you can see, there's a big gap of about 3 meters. So this is about 9 feet and the height is about 3 feet. And then you have a rather short but steepish landing. Rather short because you have a big gap to overcome, so you need some speed, and you only have about 4.5 meters. So if you are too fast, you're going to overshoot it. And of course, if you're too slow, this is not exactly confidence inspiring because you have this ditch right here and then you have this bump, which you don't want to land on. And then up there, the approach is really, gnarly, I would say. I'm just going to take you along. Generally, this is a racetrack. So they have UCI races on here. Someone coming up there, racer. Let's see if he goes down here or not. I don't think so. But you never know, here. Nope, he took the other line. So we have UCI races on these tracks, and these drops is one of them. So I was saying that up here, it is super gnarly coming in. So to get the speed to actually hit that drop is one of the challenges. Let's just look at it. I know it always, the camera always flattens everything out and you can't see the rocks, but maybe you can see how rocky it is, all the loose stuff, the ruts, and of course the run in, which is narrow through the trees, up, down to the drop. And then, as I said, you have that huge gap and the short-ish, steepish landing. So now that you know how this drop looks, I'm going to share why I would struggle, or why I do struggle with this drop, and why it gives me a little bit of, respect, I would say. Because, point one, it's really hard to estimate the speed I'm going to need because of the big drop, and it's really hard to get that speed because of the terrain here. Number one.
I mean, to get it is easy because it's very steep. You
True.
need to control it.
Right. To get it, I just need to get off the brakes. But all of you will probably know sometimes it's not as easy as just let go of the brakes, right? So I need to really commit to letting off the brakes. And then, because from coming up from here, you're gonna see that the landing is pretty blind. So I really need to commit letting go of the brakes down all of this, hitting the line I want to hit, staying in control, committing to owning that speed that I need, and then I want to hit the landing precisely. And because of the big gap, that's something that I haven't done enough yet to really have that confidence. And now we're going to ask ChatGPT what I can do to hit this drop, because I really want to hit this drop today. Let's go. So while I take out my mobile phone to ask ChatGPT, let's go down in the shade because it is pretty hot. I'm using the ChatGPT app for this, by the way. And I am going to describe as clearly as possible how this drop looks. And we're just going to use voice record. So here we go. Hi ChatGPT, I'm a mountain biker. I have been riding for about 20 years. I'm in the woods, and there's a big drop. It's about 1.20 meters in height. There's a gap of about 3 meters, and then there's a landing that is about 4 meters in length, and it's pretty steep. The run-in is very rocky, and I'm on an e-bike. I'm a woman. I'm about 158 centimeters in height. My e-bike weighs about 25 kilograms, and I'm lacking the commitment to do this drop. Can you help me commit?
Hey there, it sounds like you've got a challenging drop ahead of you. Since you've been riding for 20 years, you definitely have the skills. Here's a bit of advice. 1. Check your gear. Make sure everything is secure and your brakes are functioning properly. 2. Body position. Keep your body centered and low, especially on the run-in. Shift your weight back a bit as you approach the drop to maintain control. 3. Trust yourself. If you've ridden similar drops before, trust your instincts. Start small if you can and build up confidence. 4. Stay calm. Keep a steady pace and don't rush. Focus on your breathing and stay relaxed. You got this.
Sounds like a famous Instagram coach.
I get that a lot. But hey, I'm here to offer solid advice and support. Remember, it's all about feeling comfortable and safe on your ride. If you decide to go for it, trust in your skills and have fun out there.
Okay, thanks. I really don't trust my skills though, because I don't know, today I just don't. So can you give me step-by-step advice how I can start trusting myself to actually commit to this drop?
Of course, building trust in yourself takes time and a step-by-step approach. Here's how you can start. 1. Visualize. Close your eyes and picture yourself successfully completing the drop. Visualization can help boost your confidence. 2. Break it down. Focus on smaller parts of the drop. Practice approaching it and getting comfortable with each phase before attempting the entire thing. 3. Start small. If possible, find a smaller drop or similar feature to build your confidence gradually. 4. Positive self-talk. Replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Remind yourself of your experience and capabilities. Buddy system. If possible, have a friend or fellow rider with you for support and encouragement. Remember, it's okay to take your time. You've got this.
Okay, so I've got this. Well, while I do love ChatGPT for being so positive and encouraging, as a coach, I have to say that some of it can get really dangerous because, for one thing, I don't know how you two see this, but even if I've been riding for 20 years, even if I have been hitting smaller drops, how can ChatGPT check that I actually do have the skills? And how can I know that I actually have the skills for this drop? Right? And so I'm thinking about, what can I ask? What do you say, Berni? What can I ask ChatGPT to check for that?
I feel the most challenging part here is the high-speed entrance. So maybe you can ask him that you are scared of going that far on a drop where you're not able to see the landing. So it's a kind of a blind drop, and maybe you can ask him that.
I'll do that. So the problem with this drop, even though I have done smaller drops before, and even higher drops than this one before, the problem with this one is the run-in, that it's blind, and I need to really commit to that super rocky downhill without seeing the landing. And the second thing that is throwing me off a bit is the 3-meter gap. So usually when the drop is only this low, like 20 meters, isn't 1 meter 20, is not super high, but with that gap of that distance to clear, that's really giving me nerves. What can I do?
I totally get it. Blind run-ins and gaps can definitely be intimidating. Here are some tips to help you out. 1. Scout the run-in. If possible, walk or carefully inspect the run-in to understand the terrain and any obstacles. Progressive approach. Start by riding a similar, smaller feature that has a gap to build your confidence with the gap distance. 3. Focus on the landing. Visualize and trust that the landing is there, even if you can't see it. Keep your focus forward and trust your instincts. 4. Speed and commitment. Approach the drop with a steady speed and commit to it. Hesitation can make things more difficult. 5. Stay relaxed. Keep your body relaxed, but stable, especially as you approach and go off the drop. You've tackled challenging drops before, so trust yourself. You can do this.
And can you give me more details about the exact technique I need to use? Let's just say I'll have about 20 kilometers per hour. Don't know how much that is in miles. And I'm hitting this drop. What do I need to do exactly?
Absolutely. Let's break it down. 1. Approach. At 20 kilometers per hour, about 12 miles per hour, maintain a steady but controlled speed. Keep your eyes on the landing area as much as possible and trust that you'll clear the gap. 2. Body position. As you approach the drop, shift your weight slightly back and lower your hips to maintain balance. Keep your elbows bent and your knees flexed. 3. Commitment. As you reach the edge, commit fully. Look ahead, not down, and trust that you'll clear the gap. Keep pedaling if needed to maintain momentum. 4. In the air. Stay centered and balanced. Keep your body aligned with the bike and don't tense up. 5. Landing. As you land, keep your arms and legs slightly bent to absorb the impact. Maintain your center of gravity over the bike. Just remember to stay calm and trust yourself. You've got this.
Alrighty.
So ask him if it's possible on that height that you just roll off the drop before.
Okay, let's see. Can I just roll down the drop just to see, like just to check?
Absolutely. You can definitely start by rolling down the drop at a slow speed to get a feel for it. This way you can check out the terrain and how the bike responds without committing fully. Just take it slow, keep your balance, and stay in control. It's a great way to build confidence. Take your time and trust your instincts.
The drop is about 1.20 meters in height and the gap is about 3 meters in length. Are you sure I can roll it? Hello? It doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Can you hear me? It doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Let's try again. As I said before, the drop is about 1.20 meters in height and there's a 3 meter gap. Are you sure I can just roll down it?
Given the drop's height and gap, rolling down might not be the best approach. You need a bit of speed to clear the gap safely. Start with a lower speed to build confidence and then gradually increase as you feel more comfortable. Make sure you approach it with enough speed to clear the gap and land smoothly. Safety first.
Alrighty, I think we're gonna stop working with ChatGPT right now, and I'm gonna ask my colleague Berni. Good thing I have a supportive adult with me, like ChatGPT said in the beginning. So first off, no, you cannot roll this drop. Safety first.
Yes, you can roll it once.
Yeah. Okay, how can you decide whether you can roll a drop or not? Well, I already have a video about that, which I'm going to be linking below, but you can only roll something when it is not it doesn't I'm really lacking the English words right now. When you don't hit your bottom bracket, or in my case, the motor while rolling it. If I would roll this, my motor would hit this and I would go over the handlebars, guaranteed. So no, you cannot roll it. Second thing that I thought was really dangerous, it said, work your way up slowly, as in decrease the speed. On a drop with a gap of this height, no, you do not want to go too slow, because the slower you go, the more actively you need to pop the drop. So you need a different drop technique. And that's why what we're going to do now is Berni's going to do the drop. We're going to watch him, and then we're going to ask him what he did, and then we're going to see if he can get me ready for it or not, and if I can clear it or not.
But once ChatGPT said we should check the run-in, so I would say that's a very good point. So not to hit the drop on the first run, just make sure to get a feeling for the terrain, for the run-in, to see how grippy the surface is, which lines to avoid, because we had really heavy rainfalls here the last days, and a lot of loose rocks are in ruts, so you have to pick a good line, and this would be a really good advice from ChatGPT to check the lines you want to use. So I would say I start on the top of the hill, this small hill, then I can adjust my speed better. We already saw the drop, I checked the landing, everything is clear, and now it's time to give it a try. So I did the drop several times to get a feeling and to have the possibility to assist Roxy better. I feel, it sounds a little bit weird, but I feel the entrance for me is much harder than the drop itself, because it's super hard in this rocky and rough terrain to choose the right speed to hit the drop. So I think a lot of people struggle here to ride the speed on the tricky sections and don't stiffen up or don't brake, and then they might be too slow for the drop. So this could be an interesting part. So I would say the first thing to work on or get a feeling for is the entrance.
I totally agree. So I also thought when we looked at it, I was like, okay, the run-in is more challenging than a drop. And one thing is also, maybe we can see from here, or maybe we'll just show you from up here, that the point of no return, so the point where I really need to be committed and where I cannot stop anymore, I cannot return anymore, is about here. So this is the point, the last point where I can still stop safely, because I need a specific speed. So if I decide somewhere there that I'm not gonna do it, then I don't have enough space to brake safely. And that's why if I decide that I don't wanna do it, then I need to brake here. But I can't see the landing until I've passed the point of no return, because I'm a little shorter than Berni. So I will see...
You are on the bike, so you're a little bit higher.
That's true. Then I will probably see the landing somewhere here, but I've already passed the point of no return. And that's why I need to be fully committed without seeing the landing. And that's definitely something that I will be doing now, is riding this section several times to gain confidence riding the section up there and then braking before, just to really be confident about my line and about having the speed that I need to clear those 3 meters back there and to get into the landing. So what else did you feel, Berni?
I would say you should look for a really smooth line to have the possibility to ride faster than you would maybe usually go on such terrain, but you need the speed to hit the drop. So that's a necessity.
Necessity.
A necessity. No, another English word for me. A necessity. So the speed here is a necessity.
And what about the drop technique itself?
Yes, this is another point, but let's talk about this later.
Okay, so let's get going.
So line check done.
Line check done. So let's look at the technique we need to drop.
I know you, Roxy, and I know the techniques you already know and how to perform. So you have several possibilities to hit the drop, and it's always related to the speed you ride, but also to the geometry of the drop. So how big is the drop? Do you have a gap? How far is the gap? How steep is the landing, of the angle of the landing? So you have a lot of variables to keep in mind. You have to develop a kind of...
I think it's called an adaptive movement intelligence.
Yeah, I would call it body intelligence. That means, in my words, you must actually think about the movement. It's like the movements or the different movements are programmed into your brain already, and you run in to drop. And as you see the landing, you can process the information. So you see the landing the first time, and then you can like compare your current speed to the distance you have to jump or drop. And then you have to choose the correct technique. So maybe you're a little bit too slow. Then you have the possibility to compress the bike a little bit and pop a little bit off the lip to gain a little bit more of air time. But the other thing could be you're a little bit too fast. And that means you have another program which reduces the air time. So this is the thing you have to keep in mind, and working with you is much easier for me because I know all your abilities. But I would say this is not a perfect drop to teach dropping here. So
it's actually quite the opposite. We would never teach drops with a client right here because it is a high consequence situation. And as we've already said, super complicated run-in, large consequence because you cannot roll it, etc., etc. So no, as Berni has said, we would never teach drops here, but there's one thing that I really want to talk about, and that is what Berni already said. There are different drop techniques, so if anyone tells you there's one and only drop technique, then I am sorry, then he's oversimplifying, because it depends on your approach speed, on the shape of the takeoff, whether it's flat, downward sloped, or upward sloped, on the distance to overcome, and on the slope of the landing, and also on your quick strength, on your bike geometry, and many other things. So you need to be able to perform several drop types, and you need to adapt, as Berni said, on the fly. You need to have that autopilot, because our brain is usually too slow. No matter how intelligent we are, our brain is too slow. And that's why if
there is no time to think about it. So it has to work. And this thing, that was actually good from ChatGPT. It said work your way up. So you have to program your mind and your body with these patterns, movement patterns, in a safe environment. Here, if there is anything going wrong, it will be very dangerous. So this is not a perfect area to practice on. But I know you have the patterns. So for you, the interesting part is to gain the commitment to ride that speed on a drop without seeing the landing.
Exactly. So now I already checked, as we said, the run-in. That is one thing. And there's another thing that actually ChatGPT said that is super, super smart. And that is visualization.
And check your gear.
And check your gear, yeah. We checked your gear. Definitely brakes and everything is working. So visualization is an amazing technique. And actually that is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, what I did is I closed my eyes and I imagined myself in the first person riding this drop. How it feels, where I'm braking, where I'm not braking, when I will see the landing, and what I will do. So which drop technique I will actually use. Right here, because I'm not super, super, super fast upon approach, and the drop is far, so the gap is big, I decided that I'm going to need a slight pop technique. So I need to actively pop off the drop to gain a little bit more distance to actually make it into that landing.
So you mean a bunny hop?
Not a full bunny hop, no. This is actually one more of the points where it's very hard, and that is the reason why this is not the classic how to drop tutorial, because I think that is super dangerous. And if you've been around for quite a long time, you know that my priority number one is your safety. And that's why with these tutorials and videos, I want to give you impulses, but I will know my limits. And the limits of YouTube are definitely telling you this is the way to drop. But a pop technique, to simplify it, is allowing the front wheel to come up a little more, so not just rolling out of the drop, but gaining a little more airtime, but it's not a full-blown bunny hop, because then I would gain too much distance. And as we've already said, that is a short landing. So coming back to the visualization, I visualized this in the first person with all the emotions, how I went down the drop, how I took off, and how I landed. And I visualized that first slowly, and then faster and faster and faster and faster, until I really felt that it's real. And why does this help neuroscience break? Because your brain activates the same neural pathways when you're doing something and when you're thinking about it. It's 90% the same. And that's why visualization helps, because it prepares those neural pathways, and then you can actually already practice without having the dangers of crashing.
I think there is a different approach as well. So if you have done your visualization and before you try to hit it with the bike, maybe you can just run on the drop to have a little bit of movement, and you have the same point of view.
Absolutely, yes. I do that a lot and I love it. And I'm gonna do that and then I'm gonna share with you why. So why running and not riding? Because I don't want to program braking on the drop into my system. I want to program the visual input and concentrate only on the visual, but I don't want to be concentrating on braking, because it may happen then, if let's say I do this 10 times and every time I'm braking at the edge, that subconsciously I have automatized kind of braking at the edge. And that's why I don't want to do that with the bike. I will do that off the bike like I did now. So,
do you know the story of no finger on the brakes?
Oh God, yes, I know that story. But we need to share it now that we've mentioned it. So, okay, we've had a client who came to us and he said, please teach me how to drop.
He was in a drop clinic before and he crashed.
Exactly. So he had a trauma from drops and wanted to regain his confidence on drops.
But he didn't crash during the clinic. But during the clinic, the coach told him what?
The coach told him to take his fingers off the brakes because he noticed that he was grabby on the brakes. And he told him that no fingers on the brakes because you need speed for the drop. Yes, that is true. There's some truth to it. But if you are grabby on the brakes, I'm sorry, please don't advance to drops yet. First, refine the grabbiness. So start to modulate the brakes and look at why are you grabbing the brakes, and then start safely working your way up to airtime. Because what happened, it worked in the clinic. He had a great drop. He cleared that, I think it was a 50 centimeter drop, all good. And then he thought, oh great, I can drop now. Next day, he went to another drop. The drop was a little different. And then after the drop, he needed to stop quickly because he didn't have fingers on the brake. He grabbed the brakes and went over the handlebars. That's why he crashed. And of course,
I think he told us he was scared because the higher drop has a steeper landing. And then during the landing, during the touchdown of the tires, he tried to reach the brake and grab the brake, and then he did a front flip.
Exactly.
Something like that.
The cause for that crash was already way before the first drop. And I'm really sorry, but that has nothing to do with professional long-term coaching. If you give someone a quick fix that will help you on that day, on that job, on that drop, without giving you context and without preparing you for long-term success. And that is precisely why we won't give you drop exactly like this, do that. But if you want to learn drops, you can do that with us. Then you just check this link or look below, because we have a step-by-step process and it's focused on safety, because that's what matters. That's why we're doing this, right? To stay safe and have fun.
So keep your finger on the brakes.
So I'm going to keep my fingers on the brakes. Okay, so now I visualized, I did the run-in, and believe it or not, I think I'm ready. So I'm going to ride in, and if I feel confident, and fast enough, I'm going to hit it. Are you ready to be on board? Okay, I'm ready. One last visualization. I'm committed. I'm hitting the line and popping it off, placing the bike into the landing. Let's see how it feels when I get rolling. Okay. No, not committed enough. Not committed enough. Nope. And that's not smart to not do it committed. Okay. So Berni, what can I do?
I can't read your mind, so I need a little bit of words.
Okay, so I have the following scenario. Like 95% in my head is seeing it positively, but those 5% are saying, what if I come too short? Is it gonna spit me out? And what if I overshoot it?
Okay, then let's look at these two scenarios. Let's get down to the landing and let's see once again how the drop is built. So you go down from this height here with a lot of speed. So usually, with the speed you choose, you will be somewhere here. So if you come short, it's very, very rare that your rear wheel will be here. So I think if you come short, your rear wheel will be here in this flat spot where your right foot is. Yeah, this is scenario 1.
Okay.
If you're too fast, yes, the landing is short, but look, I can't imagine that you will fly
No, I won't
to
be
this
that fast.
area here. So you have to go super, super, super fast, and it's not possible because the entrance is super chunky. So I would say you would land between here, front wheel here, and rear wheel, whoop, 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 all the way up somewhere here.
Okay.
So you have a zone of 3 meters to land.
Yeah. Okay, so my worst case scenario in my head is that I come too short or too far. Too far is very unlikely, so that makes it down to like 0.5%. And too short is not as bad as I thought.
If you do the run-in, you check your speed, and you go a little bit faster that you would choose, what will happen?
I will fly down a little further, so I have more height difference, but I have the confidence because I've done higher drops and steeper drops, so I know that I can adjust that and land safely. And even if I come too short, I'll have a relatively, like, not much slope, so it will be a harder impact. But I also know that I can do that because I jumped that other drop, which we don't have a video, but still, and I didn't have it. I had a similar landing and I was fine. So my worst case is actually not a bad case. Okay, then I will go up, visualize one more, and I think I'm gonna hit it. No, I am going to hit it. Positive self-talk. I know I have this, I know I have the skills, I know I have the experience. My worst case is no worst case. I'm ready. Are you ready? Taking you along.
A very dangerous scenario would be if I say to Roxy, I know you can do it, because then I give her a dangerous sense of safety. So she says, okay, if you say, Berni, I can do it, then I will trust you and I will do it. And this is a very sensitive topic, so be careful if someone tells you, I know that you can do it. It's the choice of the rider. So you can assist and you can help and you can give him positive energy or her, but it's very important that the decision should be on the rider, because if not, some people might to go way beyond the limits. So sometimes, yes, you have to stretch your comfort zone to have more results or gain results, but sometimes people overshoot the comfort zone, and then this is getting really dangerous.
Okay, so one last visualization. I'm gonna approach nice and fast. And okay, ready. Woohoo!
Pretty good. Well done, Roxy.
Thank you.
It was a really, really perfect placed landing.
That was smooth. That is
So
amazing.
not bad for the first drop.
So I can tell you, a few years ago, like never, ever, ever. And I can also tell you something back then. I would have felt really bad. I would have been like, oh, why didn't I do it? And I have to do it. And nowadays, because I have been building up the skills, it is okay for me to some days say, no, today is not the day. And today I was confident because I had the skills and because we used the mental tools. We still worked our way up step by step. But this is only possible if you have that adaptive body intelligence. Because as you saw, that wasn't luck. It was skill and confidence. And confidence is not a quick fix. It's built over time because competence brings confidence. But I'm cool. I'm like so stoked that I finally cleared this.
I mean, you did some really big drops before. Sometimes it's hard for me to understand why you are scared of this kind of obstacles or drops, because I know you have done much crazier stuff before. But I think the most dangerous part here is to ride the speed you need, because the terrain is not perfect for the roll in, so it's super chunky, and I think a lot of people stiffen up during the chunk and don't feel safe and comfortable riding a drop. Now I think the drops usually are built in bike parks pretty well, so you have a good learning opportunity, but you be careful on self-made drops.
And here in Spain, or if you ever come to Spain, a lot of the drops are kind of sketchy, so always check them out and always look into your database, because confidence is built with data, data that you have from past experiences. And if you know that you can, then you can still work your way up, but don't let your ego blindfold you and say, just because you've done bigger stuff, this has to work and this has to feel good, because every drop is different. So really invest the time into your confidence by investing into your competence, building your way up slowly, gaining the skill, and if you want to use the mental tools that I gave you today.
And don't forget experience.
Yes.
So you need skill, you need confidence, and you need experience. And a lot of people practice drops on just one drop, 2 drops, and then they come to a different place. And for example, the shape of the landing is completely different. Or as Roxy said, the takeoff is slightly upward. So it's super dangerous if you don't have any experience. And this is a good thing if you gain experience and skill on no consequence drops, transfer on high consequence drops. It's much more easier and not risky at all.
Definitely. And that is exactly why we do not teach single day drop clinics, because airtime is risky, but it doesn't have to be risky if you allow your body and brain the time we adults need to actually build the automatic motor patterns, which is what we were talking about earlier. So I'm going to be hitting this a few more times now to gain the repetition. And I would love to know whether you like this video. Leave us a comment below. If you would like to work with us, then sign up for our free newsletter right here with tips directly into your inbox. And I think Berni wants to say something.
Yeah, excuse me for my language mistakes. I'm practicing.
If you found any, let us know below. Much love. Goodbye.